All right. Hey, everyone. How's it going? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bobby. I'm a client success manager here at AdApp. I'm based in the New York City area, so I'm on the part of the U.S. client success team here. Really happy to have everyone here today. Going to break down our Brain Boost feature. I realize that there are some of you that might not know what Brain Boost is, so I'll start off just by giving a brief explanation of what it is and how it works, and then what we want to go through also what has changed, because a lot has changed since the original release of Brain Boost. A lot of improvements have been made, including the addition of analytics, which is really awesome to be able to measure retention and see who's engaging with the Brain Boost sessions. So I'll be doing that as part of a live demo. And then I just wanted to, make sure, just right off the bat, I just wanted to mention that if you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat. I have some people on my side. I live in Phoebe who will be monitoring the chat, and I'll also be able to answer some questions live as well. So either pop them in the Q&A section of Zoom or the chat, and we'll be able to get to them either as we go through or at the end here. Awesome. Cool. So let's get started here. So just wanted to cover off, really basically what Brain Boost is. So Brain Boost is our space repetition feature. We use the SM2 algorithm. And for those of you that are familiar with Duolingo, we use the same algorithm that they use there. It's a tool where you can improve, knowledge retention, because what we do here is we take the interactive slides that you take from when you create your courseware, and we repurpose them in another slide now called Brain Boost. So after someone completes a course, or one of your learners completes a course, they will be able to see a Brain Boost session activate. And now we have improved notifications around that now. That's one of the new features that I want to talk about. But pretty much what happens is after a learner completes a course, every few days they'll be pushed a quiz. And then they'll get push notifications if they're using a mobile device or a tablet. And depending on what courses they complete, they will be pulled from those courses. You as an admin have control over which courses those questions get pulled from, and you can also toggle on or off certain questions that will go towards the Brain Boost. Okay. All right. One thing I wanted to mention and I wanted to talk about is the forgetting curve. So why did we do this, right? So, a lot of our customers at AdApp invest a lot of, time, energy, and money into, training, right? So we want to make sure that the learners are retaining the knowledge that you're teaching them in the initial run-throughs of the courseware, right? So this is the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve here for those of you that aren't familiar. It pretty much basically says that, as soon as 20 minutes after, you're done taking training or, consuming any type of information, you likely won't remember 75% of say this webinar. And 2 days from now, you'll have forgotten even more. And in a week, you'll be lucky if you've retained even 5% of what you learned, last week. So our solution is just to pretty much set repeat intervals of questions that are created in an app, just to make sure that they're embedded in your long-term memory. Not only are we here at App about the burst learning philosophy, when it comes to courseware, same thing when it comes to space repetition. So using the theory of space repetition, we develop Brain Boost to help learners retain important information. So again, you could put someone through a training, but especially, if you're only having them do training once a year in some cases, for those of you that are in the compliance industry, like compliance industries, they might not know or remember what they've learned a couple of months down the line. So this is a great way to make sure that it stays at the front of their mind. And what's great about Brain Boost is that as an admin, you don't really have to do much. You just kind of have to set and forget it. And then from there, the learners can retake those questions. And again, they'll keep getting those questions over and over again. And those that they get incorrect will show up more often in the Brain Boost sessions. So until they get a question correct 5 times in a row, that question will keep popping up in the Brain Boost, which again is awesome. So what improvements have we done to Brain Boost recently? So over the past few months, our product team has done an amazing job of configuring how you set up Brain Boost from an admin perspective, which I'll show you in the live demo. So it's a lot easier to set it up and configure from an admin perspective. As I mentioned before, we have an improved notification and learner experience as well. For those of you that aren't familiar with Brain Boost, in the next slide of the following slides, I do have a demo of what it looks like from a learner's perspective, and I'll be able to talk you through that there. But again, what's great too is that we have analytics on this now. So you'll be able to see who's been taking the sessions. You'll be able to see at a user group and at a user level how people are doing. And it's really great stuff because you can take that data, and maybe if there are some questions or if there are certain courses or certain user groups that aren't retaining the knowledge as well, maybe in that case you might want to send them another refresher training or have them take the course again just to make sure that they really get what you're teaching them. Cool. Yeah. So this is just a short demo from the learner side here for those of you that aren't familiar how it works from learner side. So it will tell them what courses that they're pulling these questions from, and then from there, this is a 15-question quiz. So from here, they'll just be able to go through it. So again, it's pretty much pulling the slide templates that you create in our offering tool in the courseware that you're creating, and then delivering them questions here. And again, what's great too is that if you're tapping into our content library, questions from our content library will also be included in here as well. So that's something that's really awesome. And you'll see here that we do have some stock branding, but you can change the background. You can add your logo. You can also add some CSS as well. So just as if you were taking one of your courseware, you can make it look your own as well, which is awesome. You also see that there's some streaks in here as well. So if I get the same question right a couple of times in a row, you'll see that my streak will increase, which is awesome. And from a learner's perspective, it really makes them want to complete it, complete these sessions, and because everyone wants to do well. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've had so far. I don't see any chats or questions coming up here. So let me get to the good stuff. So let me get out of this and let me move on over to the admin portal here. So I'm going to test account here for those of you that may be brand new to the platform. I'm in our admin portal, and I'm on the courseware courses screen. From here, you'll see that here's our library of courses. We have a tab for rapid refresh quizzes, and then now we have a tab for Brain Boost. You can also access it here from this courseware tab right here on Brain Boost. So if I click on Brain Boost now, so again, this is a brand new area that was just rolled out recently. So let me just break down this page for you here. So here on the left-hand side, you can see the total boosted slides. And again, they do a nice job here of having some info buttons or little question marks for you to click more to learn more information about this. So how many this is pretty much saying how many boosted slides were completed in this account. So how many slides were taken through Brain Boost? How many learners have activated a session? So you can activate a session just by completing one course on the learner side. And then in this case, 18 learners have at least started one Brain Boost session. Over here on the right-hand side, these are going to be all of the current courses that are going towards Brain Boost. So all of the courses in here, the questions will be pulled from these courses. So if I were to come in here and I were to click on one of these courses, you can see here that in this case, 7 out of 10 possible slides are going to be included in Brain Boost. So from here, you can come down and you could select or deselect some slides. So if for some reason you didn't want some slides to be taken again, you could control that here, which is nice. Most of my clients just have them all checked, but if there were some that you wanted to pick and choose, you could just pick and choose here. Okay. And then you could click Save Changes to save those changes. And here you can see the status of the course. So you can see, which courses are published, which are in draft. The course needs to be published in order for it to show in Brain Boost. So that's just one thing to keep in mind there. And then you could just delete something from Brain Boost. Don't want to delete the course, don't worry about that, but it will delete it from Brain Boost. Up here too, you can also filter for some courses, right? So, if you wanted to search for, say like this iAuditor course, you can search for certain courses here. Again, if you have a library of, maybe over 100 courses, this could definitely come in handy. And then you can also filter as well. And this looks pretty similar to what our courses tab look like for those of you that are familiar with the AdApp admin portal. You can filter by published or drafted. If you're using multiple languages, you can filter by language. And then you can also filter by user group access or universal access. Cool. All right. Awesome. Let's move on here. So there is a settings button here. So what's really cool, and one of the new improvements here is that you used to just be able to get one session and it would be 15 slides. Now you can control this. And what they do here is, I believe that they just have 30 seconds per slide is like the average of how long it takes. Could take some learners, quicker. It could take some learners longer, depending on, how they go through all of these sessions. But what's nice is that now you can pick and you can make it maybe 2 minutes. Maybe you only wanted to do 6 slides to make it quicker, or you can make it longer. So you can have 21 slides go towards the brain boost. And if you don't have, say if a learner goes through a course and you don't have this many slides, that's okay. It'll automatically, just include slides based on the courses that they complete. Again, which is a really nice thing about Brain Boost, is that, again, it's kind of like a set and forget it here. But yeah, let's go ahead over here and click on Boost Slides. So these are courses where Brain Boost is not activated yet or at all. So what I can do here is, I can go ahead and click Choose Slides here. So you'll see here that there are 6 possible slides that can go towards Brain Boost. So I can come here and click Add to Selection. And I can do this for, multiple courses, right? So like, say if I wanted to do it on this Australian Open course. And again, you could come in here and you could untick some questions, right? So maybe we don't want these to go towards the Brain Boost. I'll add these to the selection. So you can do this for all of the courses that are in this section here. And then you can click Boost Slides. And then you'll see here that now these courses are now added to this view here, which is great. Cool. Just checking the chat, but it looks like it's being handled, so that's awesome. Yeah, make sure you keep your questions coming here. And again, I can circle back and show some things at the end of the session as well. Awesome. So that's pretty much how the easy setup and config works. You just go into that Boost Slides, tick the courses that you want, and then tick the slides that you want to be included, and then just boost them. And then they'll be added to this section here. And again, you could also, after you boost them, you could always come back in here and you could untick some slides or tick them again. Maybe you want to add some more slides to them. You can always do this at any time. Awesome. So the next thing that I want to show you is the analytics associated with Brain Boost here. So you can get there from clicking on the Analytics tab and then going to Brain Boost, or you can just also click View Full Report, which will take you to the same place here. For those of you that are familiar with that app, this will look a lot like the performance dashboard with the different tabs. You can export to different file formats, and there's some color coding involved here as well. Just checking the chat here. So we have a question. Okay, as actually answered. Awesome. Yeah, just to clarify, the Brain Boost questions come from interactive slides that you create in your courseware. So that's the multiple choice, the relationship slides, the concepts, number type slides, the slides that are scored where there's a correct or incorrect answer. Games are not included in Brain Boost, but every other interactive slide template is. Awesome. All right, cool. So I'm in this Brain Boost Analytics tab here now. And yeah, I just wanted to break down the different tabs here. So we have a retention tab and we have an engagement tab here. There are some question marks here that you can click on, and it will bring up certain points here to explain these sections in more detail here. So here we have the highest retention courses and the lowest retention courses. If I scroll down here, this is where the list of your courses are, and you can filter by a certain course. Again, if you're familiar with how the dashboard works, you can sort here by certain fields here. So here down here we have the course title, we have an average streak, we have the average initial score and average current score. So the average initial score will be the score that they obtained during the first course completion. And then the current score will be the score that they achieved after they complete one Brain Boost session. So you'll see down here that we do have some, we have some positive changes here. in some courses. And then if I scroll down, you'll see that there are some negative changes as well. And again, the negative changes means that, there are people that scored worse than they did the first time around. In some cases, though, it looks like in this account, we have more cases where, the score increased from the initial course completion. All right, so I'm going to come in here and click on a course, and we can actually open up and see some more information. So I'm going to click on this busting bias course here. And pretty much what it'll show me is that it will be able to give me a nice breakdown. There'll be a couple of charts in here. And you can see how learners and user groups are doing. So up here for this course, you can see retention over time. So there's a moving average score and an average score. So you'll be able to see that, in this case, it's trending upward here, and that the average initial score is 65.2. And again, as more people go through and take these brain boost sessions, you'll be able to see a lot of nice data here, and there'll be a lot of consistent data that you can filter or change the dates here in this chart. You can see who your lowest performing user groups are when it comes to brain boost, and your highest performing user groups when it comes to brain boost. And again, you can just click on these little question marks here, and it can display some more information for you here. So it looks like this is our safety culture internal account. Looks like we have a bunch of groups here at the 83.3% retention rate here. Moving on down here, this is our learner section. So you can see which learners are this is a great example. So Akash here has a 400% change. So the average initial score was 16.7%, and the average current score is 83.3%. I'd probably recommend just coming in here and maybe, sorting this to see who had the highest change and who had the lowest change. So we do have a bunch of really nice improvements here. Scrolling on down here, do we have it? So we do have some negative ones here. And again, that just means that the current score is lower than the initial score. If there isn't any change here at all, that just means that they've activated the session, but they haven't started the session yet. So here, just for example, we have Dave here, who is our head of product here. Average initial score 25%, and an average current score is 100%. So 300% is the average change here. So if I go here and click on Dave, it actually will give me even more information, which is great, which is awesome. So it'll tell me how many attempts they've had, some individual questions here. So again, looks like we have 4 slides here. Some were attempted 3 times, some were attempted 4 times. And again, that will just depend on the algorithm and when the users are shown these questions. But here we just have the lesson title, the slide title, what slide type it is. So it looks like all of these are multiple choice. How many times they've attempted a question, how many times they've got it correct, how many times they got it incorrect, and then has the initial and then current. So in some cases, Dave here got the first question incorrect, but on the current or the second attempt, they got it correct. And the current streak is 2, meaning that they've got that question right 2 times in a row in recurring brain boost sessions. And also has a date here where it was last answered, which is nice. So it looks like this last one was done March 9th of this year. Let me go back to the previous page here. And let me come back here. Nice job with the chat. It looks like everything is going well there. Awesome. If I scroll back down here, you can also see how certain user groups are doing, right? And again, you can also filter by user group as well. So for this time, let's do a reverse sort here. So let's take a look at the average change in the negatives here. So if I come here and click on a user group, you can see some more information here. And again, what's really nice about using in-app analytics is that you can really dig down really deep here. So it looks like there was just one learner here from this group that the initial score was 50% and the current score is 33.3%, which is why there's a dip there in the retention. But yeah, I just want to mention too that if you are an in-app enterprise customer, don't hesitate to reach out to your client success manager. they'll definitely be able to, send over some more information, or if you're cloudy on certain things here, they'll be able to set a meeting up with you just to explain this more. And if you're not an enterprise user, maybe you're on self-service, maybe you're a free plan user. I would definitely recommend reaching out to our live chat, or checking out our support website for some more information here, because we have support articles on how Brain Boost works, and also how the analytics works, and they break down each point here. Awesome. All right, so let me just double check something here. Awesome. They're doing a great job with the questions. All right, awesome. So let me come over here and now click on the engagement tab. So this also just gives you some really good information. And again, what I can do here is I can just click on all these question marks, and then again, it will give me a brief explanation of what all of these tiles are. So in this account, 3% of learners in my entire account have started one Brain Boost session. But 553 people have activated sessions, so that means they've completed at least one course. Again, we saw this before, 18 learners have started a Brain Boost session over here. So again, 535 people have not started a Brain Boost session, and there have been 289 boosted slides that have been completed. And then down here, we can see who's activated and who has started a session. So you can filter by username, or you can filter by who's activated or who's not activated. So what we can do here is, like, say we wanted to see who's activated a Brain Boost session and who has started a Brain Boost session. So you can see, who's started some things here. You can just come in and, maybe you want to see who hasn't started a Brain Boost session. So you can come in here and you can see only the people who haven't started a session. And again, let me just get these question marks out of the way. If you hit this export button here, you can export anything that you see on this screen. So you can export the stats, you can export the Brain Boost users here, and you can select Excel or CSV to export this out as well. Cool. And again, just, if you wanted to target one user to see how they were doing, you can come here and you could, again, just filter for one user to see how they're doing. So it looks like Adam here has activated the session but has not started a Brain Boost session yet. All right, awesome. Great. Thank you so much for engaging with the chat. This is going awesome. Let me just go back to the retention tab for a moment here. And again, I can hit export here, and it can also come here and, you can export, again, anything that you see on the screen here to Excel or CSV. Again, pretty similar to how our performance dashboard works for those of you that are familiar with our analytics. Yeah, it's really a great thing. Thanks for saying that, Michael. It's really great that we can export these as well, which usually my clients will do, on a in this case, maybe a weekly or a monthly basis, which is awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you today, actually. So we have the Brain Boost analytics. We have the new way to set Brain Boost in your account. And again, what's nice is that as a learner, you'll have that Brain Boost tile, and you will get notifications on that as well. One thing I actually did want to show you is if I come to app settings here, you can control notifications. So if I come to engagement here, you'll see that you can toggle Brain Boost push notifications on, which I would recommend. Notifications are sent to learners at 9 a.m. of their own device time by default. Right now, there isn't a way to change the time for Brain Boost, unfortunately, but they will get that at 9 a.m. and on their device time. That's where they'll get notifications. And again, for those of you that aren't too familiar, this is where you can also set notifications for courseware pricing and rapid refresh as well. Awesome. Just checking the chat here. I have a question on how it works in other languages. So that's actually a good question. So let me go back to the Brain Boost tab here. If you do have courses that are are linked or that are translated here, there will be a separate tile here. I don't know if I have any in this account, but you'll be able to see the other course here, the other course tile here, and you'll be able to boost those for sure. Yeah, actually, this is one here, so you can boost one here. Yep, so you'll see that it's here. And again, if it's linked, if it's a linked translated course, only people that have their device set to that language will be able to see that one. So, you won't have to worry about, English language speakers seeing, courses in other languages in their account, which is nice. Cool. All right, so yeah, let me close this out here. Let me just review the chat, see if we got anything else in here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, thanks for saying that, Michael. I think that that's pretty funny. I do think that, Brain Boost is one of the features that really sets EdApp apart. Aside from, us just being an LMS and a microlearning platform, and having a microlearning platform and, being a global leader in microlearning, this really sets us apart from other LMSs. And again, it's really easy from an admin perspective just to set and forget. Usually it's a good best practice that as you go and create courseware and publish them, I would just make sure you boost them here, as you're going through some things here. Cool. Yeah, let me just come here and see if there are any more other questions here. So yeah, I have a question from Daryl here about providing content in other languages. So we do have for EdApp Enterprise customers, we have an AI translation tool that can translate content into a bunch of other languages. I think it's over 150 now. I would just double check our support website. And it will list all the languages that we have there. Also for the UI as well. Again, and Danny, I see your question here. If your device or browser setting is set to another language, you'll be able to see the UI in another language. I don't believe it'll work for every single language, but it will work for most, and it will depend on what your browser is. Cool. Yeah, just having one more question from Danny here. Can Brain Boost sessions be done on individual lessons rather than on courses? So in order for the Brain Boost session to activate, they will have to complete a course, one entire course. But you could have maybe you could have a course with one lesson. Then in that case, it would activate. So again, what's nice is that you have the freedom to pretty much create the courses as you wish, and structure them how you like as well. Usually at EdApp here, we recommend that you have anywhere. We usually recommend that maybe you have, maybe from 2 to 5 lessons in a course. Again, you can have less than that. You can have more than that, but that's what we recommend. Just because each course should probably take, should usually take someone around a half an hour to complete. Give or take how many lessons that you have in there. So. And yeah, Phoebe just put in a support article on the languages that we support in NetApp. So if you're looking to use our AI translation feature, yeah, it'll tell you all the languages that are available, which is nice. Awesome. Let me come back here, see what else we have. All right, yeah, I think that's pretty much all we had here. If we have any other questions, I'll put them in the chat now before we wrap up here. But again, I would recommend that if you have an account here with us, I would recommend that you come to the Brain Boost section here and make sure that you have some slides boosted. For those of you that have been with that app for a while, that you probably will see some courses in here. But if you're a new NApp user, you might have to come in here and boost slides for a lot of your courses here. So usually what I'd recommend is before you launch to your users, you have your published courses. I would make sure that at least those published courses are in here, and those slides are going towards Brain Boost, so they'll be able to be taken. Cool. All right. So yeah, I think that's all we have here. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. This is being recorded, so you will be sent a recording of this session, and it will be posted on YouTube as well. So yeah, so thanks again, everyone, for your time. And again, let us know if you have any questions. We do have a support website and a live chat, so you can access this live chat down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the admin portal. Our live chat team is great at answering questions. You can send them questions. If you have a client success manager, don't hesitate to reach out to them to, perhaps schedule a meeting if you want to learn more, or, for them to work inside of your account here for some tricks and tips. All right. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for your time again, everyone, and have a great day.